Really happy to come across this Lost 45 by Frankie Valli at number 13 on WTBC's playlist on the week of October 27th, 1967. I make a fool of myself. Frankie Valli, the lead singer of the Four Seasons, he had it. It had a huge solo hit. I Can't Take My Eyes Off of You back in the spring, early summer of 1967. That song was written by Bob Crewe and Bob Gaudio. Bob Crewe produced pretty much all the Four Seasons big hits. He teamed up with Bob Gaudio and it was magic. They wrote Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, and they wrote the solo hit records by Frankie Valli. And I take it, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm reasonably sure they wrote the song I Make a Fool of Myself. I got to mention one thing real quick about Bob Gaudio and Bob Crewe. If you grew up in the 60s or was around back in the 60s, no doubt you remember the song The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore. That was done by it's done by an American group that was living in England called the Walker Brothers. That was a monster back in 1966. One of the most powerful records that ever came out. Bob Crewe and Bob Gaudio wrote that song. Frankie Valli cut the original version of it. The Walker Brothers covered Frankie Valli's version of The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore, note by note. And boy, they had a monster hit with it. Well, Frankie Valli had a couple of hit records of his own, and he had that spectacular comeback in 1975, Swearing to God, and a couple others. Well, Grease, he did Grease back in the late 70s, but we're in 1967 right now. It's Frankie Valli. I Make a Fool of Myself on WTBC Survey.